Can you talk a little bit about how Feng Shui directly relates to our physical, mental, spiritual, emotional health?
The space is an extension of ourselves. It's holding the energy of our emotion. If we stop at the decluttering piece and we don't bring in Feng Shui, this is where you don't tell the Qi what you want it to do, where you want it to flow.
Let's talk about the home office space, and then we can just move into business spaces as well.
The biggest companies in the world are practicing Feng Shui, but they're not openly talking about it. When you place your desk, no matter if you're home office or if you're in a corporate world, try not to turn the back to the door. The door being in your back, you're just cautious. You only have 50% to grab your opportunities, to be present when it's important.
As a mom of four, who I'd imagine is dealing with clutter, you're also very knowledgeable on Feng Shui. So what's your sort of approach with that?
Say more often no than yes. This is the first step into decluttering. What if you create a space according to your future self-vision? I outsource the manifestation process to my space. I elevate my space into the frequency of my future self. Feng Shui has a personality. It's not a tool. Feng Shui is picking you to use it.
Okay, everyone, I want to give some context on why this episode may seem a little bit different, because it'll be part virtual, part in person, and it's 100% my fault. Danijela came all the way from Serbia to come on my podcast, and somehow I completely forgot that there was multiple video files. For some reason, we had broken it up into two different sets of video files, and I accidentally deleted the first section, which I felt so bad about. Again, because she came all the way from Serbia to be on my show. But luckily, we captured a good hour and a half or so on video in person. So that'll be the second half of this episode. So Danijela, thank you so much for joining me again. If we could start with you introducing yourself and just sharing how you got into Feng Shui, and then we'll go from there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. And I already said, so we get to talk again. So it's amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, my Serbo-Croatian sister.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
So how did I get into this topic? So I didn't plan. It was not my wish, like when I was a child playing on a somewhere outside and saying, oh, I would love to be a Feng Shui consultant or something. I studied economics with marketing at the University of Applied Science in Munich. And then I got married and we had a child and everything was planned out. I always say I was so I knew when I wanted to get pregnant and when the child was supposed to be born, so that I don't have a big lag between being a mom and finishing my studies. So everything was perfect. And then to make a long story short, I always say nobody wanted me. I was young, I was married, I had a child, and I wanted to go into the corporate world in marketing. And everybody was like, well, we don't think so. So out of this desperation, I couldn't sit at home and just wait for something to happen. And I started to work at a fast food restaurant, which is really crazy. I was there for 6 weeks and then I was done. But it was the detour I needed to get in, to read an article, to find a magazine out there, reading an article about decluttering. And it said, if you declutter your home, something will change in your life. And I wouldn't believe it. I was like, I don't like space and life. That's not connected at all. But things didn't get better. So I told my husband, we had a 1-bedroom apartment, some really, really small. And I told him, let's try this thing with this decluttering, because I don't believe we have clutter. Everything is just so tidy in our space. So we followed the principles and I was shocked how much stuff we owned in this little apartment. And we got rid of the things. And then after 2 days, 2 things happened. First, we received a huge, by that time, it was huge amount of money from the government. And we found a new apartment to move to a much nicer city, and it was much bigger. And this happened within, I don't know, we did it on the weekend, and Monday or Tuesday we received those messages.
And you weren't anticipating receiving those, right?
No, we were like, for the money we waited for 6 months. And I was like, well, the government, right. Whenever it happens. And with the apartment, it was, it would be so great. But we were not on the case. We were just like, oh, it would be so cool. So I guess those things came together, desiring something and creating the space for it to land. And when these two things happened, I was like, there's more to it. And I did finish my studies. everything fine. And then everybody was expecting me to get a corporate job to finally have more money because, and one day I was talking to my husband. I was saying, I want to do Feng Shui. Just imagine me doing those consultations, which I was doing from our new home for real people. And then he said, well, do it. And this is when I started, and I was 26.
And you've been doing it for how long now? I don't want to make you have to reveal your age, but
Oh, that's okay. It's okay. For more than 20 years.
That's amazing.
More
amazing.
than 20 years, yeah.
So when did it evolve from just learning about decluttering into full-on Feng Shui and principles of Feng Shui?
So when I make a decision, I move very fast. So from the first experience, from what I just shared with the decluttering until I was really sitting in the certification, it was less than a year, than 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really, really fast. And this is when I started to learn Feng Shui. And I was, as I said, 26, 27. And from that age on, I was not, again, I'm somebody who is, a few days ago, I read my horoscope and it said, you are teaching from experience. So I would experience everything. I did not start Feng Shui with a goal to have a Feng Shui school, to teach Feng Shui. I just wanted to do consultations. So I started doing consultations, and then our family grew. We got two more kids. My husband was working a lot. So I was kind of growing this business. I think many people would have said, oh, it's just too much. You have 3 children. Your husband is working full time. Why are you bothering trying to build a business? But there is this joy around it, this wish where it's not a business. It's a legacy. It's something which is drawing you something, and I cannot keep my mouth shut even today, talking about how Feng Shui is important for our everyday life. It's not nice to have. It's a necessity. And this kept me going.
Yeah, you talked when we were here, and unfortunately, again, we missed this part, but you talked about how it's like a health principle, and we don't even consider it to be a health principle. Obviously, we consider the health implications of the non-native EMFs in our home or the building materials that we use. But can you talk a little bit about how Feng Shui directly relates to our physical, mental, spiritual, emotional health as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me give you some context. Feng Shui is rooted in the Taoist practice and the Chinese medicine. So, and if you go back, and the Chinese medicine as well as the Ayurvedic medicine from Sri Lanka and India, they're both like more than 5,000 years old. And they have these pillars of body, mind, soul, and space. So body, yoga, Tai Chi, and so on. Mind is the meditation. And then, of course, all the medicine, which is included. But then they're looking at the space as well. And this is something we are missing. So if these ancient traditions of living a healthy life, because it's in these traditions, it's about living a healthy life, not only necessarily to get sick and not to get healthy again. The space is a crucial part. And why is it? Because the space is an extension of ourselves. It's our second skin. It's holding the energy. It's holding the energy of our emotion. It's holding the space that we can evolve, that we can develop our lives. And the principle behind it is the sacred trinity. It's the heaven's luck, human's luck, and earth's luck. And the heaven's luck, we have a lot of knowledge about it. It's astrology, every kind of astrology, human design. So everything what's connected in any kind with our date of birth and the time and so on. And then we have human's luck. That's our free will, Alec. That's what we as humans decide to do. So your stars can give you the best perspective, but you as a human need to decide to walk this path. Or sometimes when my astrologer is like, oh, this is not a convenient time to do this or that, or you're not meant to do it, I'm like, try me. So I was like, well, I feel something else as the stars are telling me, so there must be a way through it. So that's the free will every human has. And now again, what we're not considering is the earth luck, and the earth luck is our space. because our space is made out of earth. So no matter what building materials we have, but if you go way back, it's made out of materials which are coming out of the earth. And this is where everything what the heaven gives us and what we create as humans can land and stay with us. And we are not taking care of it.
Wow. 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 I love that so much. What are some of the foundational principles, just generally speaking, of Feng Shui?
It's the qi. It's the life force energy. That's really, really the key. And this is also the explanation why clutter clearing works so well. But clutter clearing is not Feng Shui. It's just the first step. So everybody who has ever done any kind of clutter clearing has had this feeling of, oh, I can breathe again. It feels lighter. I'm happy. My space looks different. Of course, it looks different, but it feels different. And this is when you experience the flow of qi, the flow of life force energy. The only thing is, if we stop at the decluttering piece and we don't bring in Feng Shui, this is where you don't tell the qi what you want it to do, where you want it to flow. So it's just like opening up the space, the qi goes like, it rushes through your space, it rushes out of the windows, and then, well, that's the opportunities coming in your life and leaving your life earlier than you were able to grab them. So this is the reason why decluttering and Feng Shui go together. And yeah, it's all about the life force energy.
That's amazing. So is it really like uniquely tailored to the individual and their space? I feel like that's a rhetorical question. I'd imagine it has to be, right? Because when we can make health considerations, if you're talking about heaven's luck, what was the middle luck again?
A human's luck.
Human's luck and an earth luck. That's obviously uniquely tailored to the individual. Your unique free will, your unique alignment of the stars based on when you were born, your numerology and things like this, and then also of your space. So with Feng Shui, it's got to be the same, right? It's tailored to the individual and their respective space.
Oh, yes, of course. The deeper you go, the more individual it gets. So you can, of course, there are calculations, the cardinal directions, and so on and so on. Of course, there are also basic principles. This is why you can't start learning Feng Shui or applying Feng Shui, reading a book or reading something on the internet, but that's again general. And then as a master, a practitioner, you start tailoring the knowledge to not only to this house, but also to the individuals who are living there. Mm. And what I love to go even further and say there is a spiritual connection between you and your home, and every home, every space has a soul. So when we connect to the frequency of our home, we start feeling and co-creating with our space.
I love that. I love that. Can you share just some of the basic low-hanging fruit principles of Feng Shui that apply across the board with respect to our, let's say, home, and then we can talk about office after that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So there are two principles I want to share. The one is the what you see is what you get principle. So it's when you look around, do you not only like what you see, but is it what you're seeing connecting to your visions? Is it lifting you up? Is it inspiring to you? I remember in our office, there was this huge dark painting hanging on the wall. And I was like, oh my, why? Can you take it away? Because you come in and you're like, you cannot even breathe. And this lady back then, she said, well, a client gave us this painting, so we need to wait until this client is kind of gone and then we can give it away. So, but yes, you might honor your client there, but you are not lifting up your energy. You're
dishonoring your space. You're dishonoring your space.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. So just be mindful. What you see is what you get. It relates to the space inside. And again, Feng Shui is not about beauty. It's not about interior design. I've been in so many beautiful, amazing places, and I've seen so many unhappy people inside those places that I couldn't even start to tell you. So it's not about beauty, it's about connection. And then also when you leave your home, what are you seeing there? Because the opportunities are coming from the outside, heaven's luck, human's luck. It's the humans we're seeing. And everything what you see is connecting to you. You can see it on a larger scale. When you leave your house, what are you seeing? Are you seeing a street, humans, the heaven, the city, whatever the skyline, the outlook is? When you go inside, when you turn inside, what are you seeing inside? What are you seeing inside your bedroom? The bedroom, the palace of love, is connected to your relationship. Is what you see nurturing your relationship? For example, the palace of, and here I'm going also into the second principle, which I have developed, the palaces of life. The kitchen is connected to vitality and health. So what you see in your kitchen, is it inspiring you and calling in the energy of health? The palace of abundance, your office. Is your office connected to abundance you wish to bring in through what you're doing? The palace of communication, the living room, the dining room, is it connected to your family, connecting, communicating? So this is not completely this old Feng Shui principles, but everything what I'm sharing is deeply connected to the Feng Shui principles. But I have, over the past 20 years, worked with the knowledge, because when somebody, you ask me like, what can you do? And if I start telling you, oh, this corner needs to be this corner, then you need to have the color, I don't know, blue in the north. And you'll be like, oh my God, Danijela, that gets so complicated. I just can't follow. And what I'm sharing now is something very natural. Everybody has it.
Yeah.
And now you're changing the perspective, how you look at those spaces, because you have more context, and the context is connected to Feng Shui.
That makes so much sense. So again, let me summarize. The bedroom is associated with love. Kitchen is associated with vitality and health. The dining room is associated with communication, you said?
Yes.
Office is associated with abundance. What would the living room, or let's say a bedroom for one of our children, because obviously it's going to be a little bit different with them, I'd imagine. Love is not going to be the defining principle. What will it look like for them with their respective bedrooms?
So the children's room, or also meditation rooms or exercise rooms, in any way, they are connected to the palace of creativity. Because children are the creative ones. They are, you have to, know what I'm talking about.
Oh, so
you come inside and they are just playing, and they're so creative. So that's the palace of creativity. And so the dining room and the living room, they're both connected to communication and connection between the inhabitants of a space. And then you have the bathroom, and the bathroom is not only the palace of beauty, but it's also the palace of self-love. Because in the bathroom, we are taking off our personas. We are becoming who we truly are. So, and the bathroom is so often underestimated.
This makes it really tangible, right? Because I think anyone listening or watching this could reflect on does my office space, my workspace, reflect abundance? Does my dining room space, my living room space reflect good communication principles? Does my kitchen reflect vibrance, vitality, and health? It makes it very tangible for people. And that's a good starting point for reflection on, if I want to feel this, does my space reflect it? And something that we talked about when you're here, especially at my own house, that can become a little bit difficult is when you have kids. I know one of the primary starting points with Feng Shui is decluttering at first. That is not Feng Shui, but it's a part of Feng Shui, is decluttering. Yeah. And I was talking to you about this. For me, if my space is messy, my mind feels messy. And vice versa. If my mind feels really messy, I can look at my space and my space is always messy as well. And I don't know if it's what came first, the chicken or the egg. I think there's they're both just feeding each other in this sort of loop. Yeah. But it can become kind of challenging when you have young kids, right? It's much easier as an adult, if you really want to, keep your space clean, tidy, decluttered. But when you have kids, it naturally piles up over time. I could spend every single day, and Kylie could spend every single day, my wife, just cleaning our house. And that's not what we want to be doing with our life. And at the same time, I don't want my space to be cluttered all the time. So how do we go about balancing that out when we have kids? And then I'd like to talk about decluttering in general.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I have 4 children, as you know, so I've been through all the phases. So what I have found is that the children often don't need so much stuff like we parents think they do need. So it's not about giving everything away, but rotating the things. So at the same time, they don't have so many things to, bring around and leave in the house. And on the other hand, you don't have to tidy up so much. So this is one piece. And then, yes, decluttering and feng shui, it's not always about minimalism and having this perfect magazine-like spaces. So we still live in there. And then we need to define what is clutter. Is it just the kids have their toys all everywhere because they're playing everywhere? Or is the toys they're not using, are the toys they're not using and they're just lying around everywhere? So if it's something they're not using, it's just an example toys. You can obviously use this for everything, for anything. So if they're playing with the toys, it's not a clutter thing. It's just, let's find out a way how to organize stuff so that it's easier for us. But if they have toys they're not playing with, just take them out for a while. And I really, with the decluttering, I urge everyone not to stress out about it and families not to argue because of it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. So I remember with my kids, when they were smaller, I would go in their bedrooms, in their playrooms and tidy everything up because it gives me relief. And because I love to do it. And then I would do before and after pictures. And when they come back from school, they'll be like, oh, thank you. Oh, thank you so much for doing it. Because at some point they get overwhelmed and they don't know how to structure. Because telling your kid, go and tidy up your room, they're very often overwhelmed. They don't know how to do it.
Right.
If we didn't teach them.
I mean, I see that in my own kids, especially like the task of cleaning your room. They're like, where do I start? And what I found that is helpful is I guide them to specific things like, hey, let's start with this, start cleaning up these Legos in this area. And then after that, come back to me and I'll give you your next task to do. Most of you are already aware that our everyday devices are taking a real toll on human biology. Talking about our laptops, our tablets, our phones. Each one of these is hitting you with non-native EMFs, artificial light, excessive blue light, and constant screen flicker. And most of us are feeling the harmful effects whether we realize it or not. But there is a better option. Daylight Computer is actually solving all these problems at the root. And I had an awesome conversation with Tristan Scott from Daylight on episode 202, breaking all this down. Here's a brief clip from the episode.
We have a reflective display technology similar to a Kindle, which was really the inspiration behind the product overall. It's really intended to be a magic piece of paper. And the reflective technology works just like everything else in nature.
What are some differences between this and a Kindle?
Kindle was the inspiration, but it was limited. It's great for reading, for turn paging, but if you try and do anything else, it's too slow. We wanted to bring a display technology that feels like digital paper, but can do more. It can do email, it can go on the internet, it can go on social media. We created a Kindle on steroids, which now means it's a healthier iPad.
All right, so if you'd like to check out Daylight for yourself, just head to daylightcomputer.com or just head to the show notes and enter code TWF50 at checkout for $50 off your order. And if you're a member of the wayforward.com, just head to the member marketplace and you'll find an even greater member exclusive discount waiting for you there.
And so the other part of that when it comes to decluttering, and I'm sure tonight when you see my house, you're going to be like, yeah, I can totally see what you're talking about. I'll speak specifically to clothes. For me, I have too many clothes and I know that. And what I do is I'll take a shirt and I'm like, oh, I could see where in this specific context at this specific time, I might need to wear this shirt. So I'm going to keep it. And then it's not like I'm buying a bunch of new clothes. It's just that I have clothes that have piled up over the years. And I have my closet neat and orderly. You'll see it's like all color coordinated and people make fun of me for it, but that's okay. But is that like common amongst people who need to declutter? And like, how do you know what is something you truly value and want to keep? Even if it is just an inanimate object, right? Even if it is just a piece of clothing, because there's another thing to be said about like, these are things that you put value on, they aren't inherently valuable, if you get what I mean, right? They're just a piece of clothing. Like you can totally get rid of them. You don't need them. But that being said, like, I don't know, it's just a weird thing to balance. Like when you're decluttering something, how do you know if it's something that you absolutely need? Because if you go full minimalist, of course, you could get rid of a lot of things and only have like 5 shirts, of course. But we're not going full minimalist with Feng Shui. So like, what is your process for decluttering with clients?
Okay, so I love to bring in certain steps in the decluttering process. So sometimes the decisions can be made very, very quick, and sometimes we need space in between. So for example, with your shirts, just to stay there, you could say, okay, I have a box for my t-shirts or for my shirts. I might wear them. I'm not quite sure, but I know I'm not going to wear them in the next future. So you would put them in the box and put the shirts away. And if you didn't need any of those shirts for 6 months, you don't open the box and you give it away. Okay, so you create a buffer when you cannot make a decision. And here's another thing. This is how I declutter my clothes. I have things I love the most. I mean, I just love them, and they're 10 years old, but I love them. And then they're, fluctuating things. And sometimes I would go through my closet and say, Danijela, when you envision your future self, is this future self going to wear this? And if I say no, then this piece can go. So now, of course, you need to be clear of who's your future self, what is the energy you're carrying. And I'm not talking about for myself, I need to buy the most expensive clothes. And absolutely not. I'm a mom of 4. I love things to be practical and simple. And most of all, I need to feel really comfortable in everything what I wear. And then still this, okay, when I step into the future self, am I going to wear this? No, it's gone. And then the same with, if I am my future self, am I going to drink out of this glass? No. Am I going to write with this pen? No. Am I going to, whatever, you can
sit
take the
couch.
concept. Yeah, am I going to sit on the couch? No, but it's too expensive to change it right now, but it goes on my list.
Yeah.
Right? So you create a plan.
Uh-huh.
So this, I have developed this, I love the future self concept and personal development. And I took it into Feng Shui. And I'm like, okay, what if you create a space according to your future self vision?
That's so interesting, because a lot of people will do something like a vision board or show like a screensaver on their phone, or have like a little journal that they sit in, or do even a meditative practice about their future self, quote unquote, manifesting it, right? But what you're talking about is literally orienting your whole space to where it is in line with how you envision your future self to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm so excited about this.
Talk to me about it a little bit more.
Oh, yeah. So here's my train of thoughts. Maybe you have the numbers, but I read that we think around 60,000 thoughts per day, something like this.
Mm-hmm.
And now you are trying to manifest your future by adding visions into this mess of thoughts you're having, and it's behind your eyes, right? It's in your brain. So of course, then you can create a vision board, but then it's in your, bedroom or your office or somewhere. So you need consciously to look at it, to go into the feeling, and there's work behind it. But what if I take the vision of how am I going to feel, what am I going to use, how am I going to live into my space? So it's kind of, I outsource the manifestation process to my space. So can you please hold the energy for my manifestation, even if I get busy with things, but my space is in the frequency. I elevate my space into the frequency of my future self. And this is, for me, when I had this aha moment, and it built up. It was not like I was sitting and thinking, what am I going to create? It built up. It was about visions, about manifestation, about chi flow, about all these different things. And I'm like, why? Let's bring it together. And then it opened up a completely new world, because when you go into frequency, right? When we talk about manifestation, it's about going into the frequency of the things of the life you want to manifest. And our home is in this frequency, and we want to manifest this. So it's work. Every day I need to think about it to go into the frequency. But I create the frequency of the home once, and it stays there.
Yeah. So it's a constant reminder of that which you want to create.
Yeah. So when I enter my home, I'm immediately in the frequency of my future self. Of course, you need to make, again, it's one puzzle, but one piece of a puzzle, but it's such an important one.
So that relates to abundance quite a bit, because a lot of the times when people are thinking about what their future self is doing and wanting to co-create a new reality for themselves, they're thinking about coming into more abundance. They're trying to call in more abundance in their life. I know we talked about it a little bit from the health implications. I'd actually love to get a little bit deeper on that too, like health implications of a space. But I also want to talk about this from the perspective of abundance, like how our space can actually inhibit our ability to come into more wealth and abundance. So can you talk to me about that a little bit?
Of course. Abundance is not only money, right? So abundance is having an abundant life. Years ago, when I was traveling to Bali to teach my certification, my family joined me later on, and we were checking in a hotel, and the lady looked at me. I was handing over a lot of passports and she was like, "Oh, 4." And she said, "You are a very abundant lady." So just abundance is just so much more.
Right.
And when we bring abundance into the space, and it's, for example, activating the heart point. In the Feng Shui world, almost nobody's talking about the heart of the space. And it's so important. We would go and activate life areas in the corner. Oh, I want wealth, AKA I want money. So I put something in the corner, and then this something is supposed to bring me wealth. Well, okay, so I always ask my clients then, and what are you going to do to bring? So you set up the space, you brought this to your attention, you activated the energy there. So what's your plan? So you have to execute. But the heart point, it's like our heart. It activates the energy of joy in our space.
What is the heart point in the home?
The heart point is pretty much the center of the space. So if you really go, you draw 2 lines, and where the X is, that's the center. And then very often I see people around the center, they would already create something like an altar. You know, it's not in a religious form. It's just a shelf where you have pictures of your family.
A lot of meaningful
something
stuff.
Yeah. So, and this is already a hard point. So that's a space where you maybe light a candle in the morning, or where you rearrange the pictures, or it's something where you bring mindfulness and intention to it. And once you have heard, your heart is connected to the heart of your space. And as your heart is pumping and bringing all the nutritions and everything what we need in our bodies, this is how the heart of the space is making sure that the chi flow is being balanced. There are, again, a lot of other rules as well, but the heart point is so important. So for example, if the heart point is in the middle of the staircase, or the bathroom is placed at the heart point, or the fireplace is there, then the heart is weakened. Which means, so I don't want to say they're, going into the heart conditions of humans, because this is a health area again, but it's the heart, and the heart is the joy. So how is the joy of the family? How is the connection within the family? How is the vitality of the family? Are they, alive and full of energy, or is everybody more doing its own thing?
Wow.
Or are they connected to each other? And this is the power of the heart.
Wow. What are your considerations for like a house that has an open floor plan versus a house that has more sectioned off rooms? Because like when I hear that, right, I'm thinking back to my own house. In my own house, if I'm remembering correctly, where those lines would intersect, it's a pretty open floor plan home. And that would intersect right in the middle, where it naturally flows in this open space between the kitchen island, living room, and it would probably fall somewhere in there. So maybe it's on the couch where our family spends time. So that might be great. But with respect to that, what you just said, are there differences in consideration between the variety of house styles, building styles that there are?
I mean, the chi is always flowing somehow through it. So yes, it is about balancing the chi flow. And when you have a completely open space, it can feel like there are many things going on. So I work, for example, with chi attraction points, which means if you have the couch area and it's everything white and you have a few red cushions, it's a chi attraction point. So the chi is, I always say, it's like a child and it's curious and it's flowing where it's beautiful and nice and there's something is standing out. So when it sees this red cushions, it's like, oh, it looks nice. So it flows there. Then you have maybe a bowl filled with fruit on your kitchen counter. And it's like, oh, wow, fruit. Oh, this looks nice. And it flows there. So this is how you create this oasis with the chi attraction points, and you help the chi find its way to all the different areas.
Got it.
While as you have closed or, all the walls in the space, you would have to guide the chi through the door. So you might need even more chi attraction points so that the chi flows through every door and it enters every room and it stays there before it flows out of the windows.
So referring back to my house again, we have like a big sliding back door that you can see our whole entire backyard as soon as you open the front door. So if you're already living in a space that you can't really change and you know that it's at odds with a lot of the principles of Feng Shui, what do you do to counteract that? Like in our situation, for example.
So I would energetically close this. So of course you're going to use your backyard, you're going to use the door, but there are these practices where you can build a mountain behind your home using stones and ancient activation principles. So you can activate the backing of your home. And this is the first. And then the second is, because when we talked about the backing, it is the chi flowing out too fast, which means I need to give the chi more attraction points so that the back window is not the first thing it sees. I want the chi to look left and right and feel attracted to flow somewhere else and not straight to the backyard. So it's building a spine, the first step. And the second step is redirecting the chi.
Okay. Maybe it is appropriate to get into some of the other principles of Feng Shui if we could, just so we establish that so we can refer back to them for the rest of the conversation. Sorry, everyone. As you know, I jump around quite a bit, so please just share what those are.
So, okay, we had the entrance door, we had the backing, we had this what you see is what you get, the whole future selfing principle with it. Then we had the bedroom, and with the bedroom, again, the bed should not be placed between a door and a window. Why? Because the chi is then, flowing over the bed, which means when you're sleeping, it's just, too active young energy. And the bedroom is a yin energy. It's a place where you wind down, where you go to sleep, and you don't want active energy there. Which brings me to the question, TV in a bedroom, yes or no? So I know I always say I don't want to be someone who's ruining the fun, but I always give the context. So why it's not recommended to have a TV in your bedroom is because TV is yang active energy. And again, it activates your mind. And the room is a yin passive, the bedroom, yin passive energy, winding down, going to sleep. And those energies are just interfere with each other. And I always explain this to the clients because they wouldn't explain why it's important for them to have and I'm not there to judge anyone. I just give the context and then they get to decide what they want to do. So these are the key principles for, and then if you're in the bedroom, you have an ensuite bathroom, just make sure to close the door.
Okay.
Because the chi is flowing into the bathroom, and we consider chi which was in the bathroom as dirty chi, and we don't want to have it back into the bedroom. So close the door. So it stays there and it, goes down the sink and wherever, but it doesn't come back. And then the kitchen. So the kitchen, the heart of the kitchen is the stove, because this is the cooking place when you go back. So again, referring to all the all the Feng Shui principles. The fireplace was the heart of the home. This is where we cook the food. This is where we nourish ourselves. So this is the same here too. And the kitchen is, for me, I call it the palace of health, because of course we nourish ourselves there. And ideally, when you cook, you are not turning the back to the door or to the living room. So ideally, you see, the space in front of you when you're cooking. Why? Because when you're standing with the back to the room, your subconscious is like, oh, somebody's going to, come from the back and I'm not going to be prepared. I don't see anyone coming. So we are just in a state of insecurity, which is very natural. And then when we cook, we talked about water when we met in Belgrade, right? When we cook, we cook with water. And this anxious energy we have inside, even if it's subconscious, it's being absorbed by the water, by the food. And then, we are eating this food and bringing this energy back into our bodies. This is the reason why the kitchen is so important. And so if you don't need to rearrange your kitchen, but just see if you have something which is mirroring, like you don't have maybe, I don't know, a mirror or something which is shiny. So you can have the feeling of control to see what's happening behind you.
Got it. Okay. So when I'm hearing a lot of these, I think back to my own house, obviously. And in many ways, I'm reflecting on how the way the house is designed it's beautiful. We love our home, and you'll see it. And I'm sure I'm stressing out a little bit too much maybe, but the way that it's designed is not conducive to Feng Shui. Do you see that in a lot of Western homes nowadays?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, it's not about, in my career, I've been doing this for 20 years. There were only 2 homes where I recommended the family to move, but it wasn't even because of the Feng Shui. It was because of the energy.
Really?
Yeah. But this is my job, to support people make the best out of their homes. Because if I would always say, oh, you need to move, I mean, it's not so easy to move and to find a home and everything. Right. So, and this is why there are Feng Shui consultants to support, to make the best out of it. So maybe, you have Pareto, right? 80-20. So we are never going to have 100% Feng Shui, even if you start building with a Feng Shui master next to you. But we can do the best out of it. And if we lift the Feng Shui from 0% to 50%, it's 50% Feng Shui. That's a lot.
Mm-hmm. You were talking earlier about the sacred trinity. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I love this. So it's really the core of Feng Shui. Also, I don't hear a lot about it out there. So the sacred trinity is heaven's luck, human's luck, and earth's luck. So related to Feng Shui, it's heaven's luck. That's why in Asia, very often you have the roofs, they are at at least 45-degree angle, and they have this light moving up at the end, because the rain is bringing heaven's luck. And that way they keep the rain as long as possible on their property and on their roofs. And in Feng Shui, when we leave the house, ideally we can see the sky, because then we are open to receive heaven's luck. And heaven's luck is, I don't know, winning the lottery, or, something which it just fell into your lap. Mm-hmm. So this is heaven's luck. Then you have human's luck. It's meeting the right people, having the right conversations, the opportunities coming your way. So this is a human's luck. And then we have the earth luck, and this is the connection to Mother Earth. And it's the grounding, because when we are grounded, we are strong, and then we can move through life. But there is another layer to it. And it is, again, connected to the importance of the space in our lives. So the heaven's luck is everything what our stars gave us when we were born. The astrology, no matter if it's Western astrology, Eastern astrology, human design, whatever. So it's in the stars. And then this is something you've got. And then you have the human's luck. It's your power to change things and to take action. So no matter, I always say, no matter how the styles are, if I know what heaven gave me, I can make decisions based on that to change my destiny. So this is very powerful human's luck. And then earth luck is our space. In our space, everything what heaven and human gives us, heaven's luck and human's luck gives us, this is where it lands. This is where we are holding it. And this is, again, why I'm so passionate about this space. This is why I'm like, I'm going to fly to Austin to be in person in this podcast all the way from Serbia, from Germany, because I really want to wake up people to their space, because they work so hard. They do all the personal development, and then the space is not ready for it to carry it, to hold it. And when you take care of the space, all of a sudden a whole new world opens up. It's like working the soil. So when you plant the seeds can really, really grow strong and big.
How much do you consider colors in the space? 'Cause I know you mentioned that like white couch with red pillows. So my wife and I are pretty hip to like housing trends. We always say that in another life we would have been like interior design experts. A lot of people comment on how beautiful our house is inside, just the way that we've designed it. And we use like a lot of neutral tones, a lot of earthy but neutral tones in our house. So how much does color play into feng shui? I know you mentioned earlier that red has a specific meaning, and I've heard you before say green has a specific meaning. So how much do you consider that in someone's space?
I mean, it's a part of a feng shui consultation, a part of feng shui. It's coming through the 5 elements, and it's based on the compass feng shui. This is where we talk about the cardinal directions, and every cardinal direction is connected to a color, not to a color, but to an element. South, the fire; north, the water; east and southeast is the wood element. Then west, northwest is the metal element, and southwest and northeast are earth elements. So I can also share why the colors are in this. But let me first get to your question, because and then those energies are entering, and every human has, through his date, year of birth, has an own element. It's also known as the Kua number. There are many different, I call it trigram numbers, but it's going from 1 to 9, and every number is connected to one element. So just to give you an example, I'm fire element, and if I would sleep in a room in the north, and north is connected to water, the water is not strengthening my fire, it's weakening myself. So I'm not, if my bedroom or my office are in this room, I'm not going to be really powerful. So what I need is the color green, which is the wood element, because water nourishes wood and wood nourishes fire. So this is where we so
you counteract it with
this is where we
color.
It's not sense. It does make sense in feng shui when we recommend. It's not colors, it's elements, and they express themselves. So through color. Yeah. So, for example, the red cushions is, I first need to take a look at the compass, at the cardinal directions, and then I could tell you, the sofa needs red or green cushions or brown cushions. So, and it doesn't have to be like the rainbow home with all the different colors. It's just, adding the chi attraction points here and there, especially if the space is very neutral. You don't need to work with strong colors. It's already enough to just do a little bit of work to make the elements stand out.
What does that typically mean when a space is more neutral in tone, though? Like, what does that indicate to you as someone who's an expert in feng shui?
So usually it's very earthy. And then again, it depends if the house is also built in the earth element, which means it's a roof, it's a rectangle. It doesn't have this fire roof, but it's rectangle. And then you have very earthy elements. And then if the people who live there are also earth, they're going to be too grounded. It's too grounded. So they would need more fire element to get them moving.
What would that look like then to have more fire element?
Oh, it could be again having red color, for example.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
And it doesn't only express through colors though, right? Like it also expresses in terms of the architectural design, and also I would imagine the even the materials that you're choosing as well, right?
Yeah.
So what would that look like, let's say on the fire element, aside from just the color? What else would you expect to see in that space?
You could also, of course, fireplaces, like fire, and then, the lava lamps.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, and of course, the triangle is also connected to the fire element, because when you look at the bonfire, you see, it looks like a triangle. So, but then again, having a triangle shape on your wall, you are going to know it's fire, but you have to think about it. And I always tell my students, if somebody needs to think about a feng shui remedy, what it is, it's not really working. So we need, you automatically know, oh, that's fire. So a candle, sometimes I read is, oh, if you want to implement a water element, buy a blue candle. A candle is always fire. When you see a candle, you would never think about water.
No, absolutely not.
So just, and maybe I see this salt lamp behind you. So this is also, it's earth, because the stone is coming from the earth, but then it has this orange color. So it's connected fire and earth in this lamp.
Got it. When you look at this space, what elements do you see pop out?
So we have the wood element through the green, to the plants. We have the earth element through, the colors and everything. And we do have a little fire through the logo. So again, you're connecting the circle. You have the wood, the fire, and the earth coming together.
Okay, cool. It's really cool.
Hey y'all, I'm here with Melissa Kupsch from Remedy Academy of Homeopathy. We are so stoked here at the Way Forward to be partnering with Melissa and Remedy in order to spread the message of homeopathy across the world, and also to partner on the eventual development of healing centers across the United States.
People are pretty quickly coming to realize that frequency is the future of medicine. We are witnessing the great resurgence of homeopathy right now. We're really moving away from that suppressive medical model. Whether it's for eczema, asthma, hormones, fertility, anxiety, depression, trauma, whatever it is, it all starts as energy in the person's field first. If we change our field, we can completely change our life. Our 2-year academy is open worldwide to anyone who wants to become a homeopath. We've got 5 lecturers and we currently have over 500 students enrolled, which is record numbers in our field. A career in homeopathy is amazing for anyone who wants flexibility in their work and who wants to be valuable in creating this new world. We have stay-at-home parents enrolled. We have ex-medical professionals, grandparents signed up who want to learn how to heal their grandchildren and pass on that invaluable knowledge. We even have husband and wife teams. So my husband enrolled in the course with no prior knowledge of health as a background, and he is loving it.
Kylie is also enrolled as well, so my partner is, and she's so stoked to become a homeopath and to be helping to spread this message across the world.
The thing that we hear from so many of our students is, I found my thing. Homeopathy is the key. We harness frequencies from nature and we alter the field of all creations. So if anybody wants to join us or they want to know more about it, they can visit our website.
Yeah, and all that information will be in the show notes. So if you want to learn more about Remedy Academy, also Remedy Collective, also some of the homeopathic products that they have, please just head to the show notes. All of that will be listed there.
So a question on that with the elements, when you pointed out the different elements in this space, is it good to have a balance of elements in a space? Or is it okay to have like all fire elements? I'm thinking in the most extreme example, like let's say you have a themed room that's all water or all fire. Is it better to have one or the other, or just a lot of balance in a space?
It's not about having all 5 elements all the time. It's about, you have the cardinal direction, you have the humans, and then you want to harmonize them. So usually it's 2 to 3 elements you usually you use to harmonize a space.
When we look at styles, right? Like let's say a more Scandinavian style, or a style that's pulling more from like Japanese architecture and living environment. Did those styles that people tend to go in the direction of have the elements balanced in and of themselves when you typically look at them?
Very often they do. And it's more, for example, the Scandinavian is this, nurturing, warm, because Scandinavia tends to be cold. And especially in the wintertime, it's very dark.
Mm-hmm.
So you need, that's how the style came to be, right? And even there you can balance with the elements. So the great thing is about, we are not like putting an element on a pedestal saying, okay, that's the element. We're weaving it in, and Feng Shui is weaving in. It's not, we are Feng Shuiing your home and you're not going to recognize it again. We are weaving Feng Shui in. And this is when I build houses with architects. They're like, no, Feng Shui, oh my God, she's going to take away, to take over or to screw up with my design or whatever. And I'm like, no, we are just waving in the energy. We are just changing a little bit here, a little bit there, maybe moving a window or a door, or even the way how a door opens changes the flow of the energy. And as long as it's just painted on the floor plan, you can do all the things. Then you don't need to remedy anything when a house is built. So my approach is, let's do the best for the client. Okay, so here's my motto. I need to translate it from German, So I need to think about it. To get the most out of it by doing the least possible.
Got it.
That's the motto, how I practice and teach Feng Shui.
That's really helpful to hear, especially the context is you're a mom of 4. You're familiar with Feng Shui. You're not only familiar, you're an expert in Feng Shui. And I have a lot of moms who listen to this podcast that already have all the pressure. Some of them are both a stay-at-home mom, but they're balancing that out with doing a business on the side. They're trying to manage all the things. They might be listening to this and it's like, man, I constantly have clutter. And now I'm hearing this and it's like, fuck, I feel this pressure to declutter. Like, what do I do? So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that as a mom of 4, who I'd imagine is dealing with clutter, is dealing with messes sometimes, but you're also very knowledgeable on Feng Shui. So what's your sort of approach with that?
Mm-hmm. So the first thing is be kind to yourself. That's my first thing, because I've been there. My 2 boys in the middle there are 18 months apart. At this time, my husband was working a lot. We were living in an apartment on the 3rd floor. So it was a lot. And I was trying to get my business going. And it was really, really hard. And what I can say now is really be kind to yourself, because the clutter is not going to go away. It's going to be tomorrow. It will be there as well. And the first thing you can do is think about stopping the incoming things. Just before if you don't have the time to declutter, just stop buying things or getting things. Say more often no than yes. Because then this is the first step into decluttering. And then what I used to do when the kids were playing, I would sit on the floor with them in the children's room, and then I would declutter the things, just around me. And if I get to take out 10 items out of this room, I was happy. Right? So, and make a game out of it, like every day 10 items. It's 70 items per week. It's a lot. Mm-hmm. So don't make a project out of it. Weave it into your everyday.
And do you do the same approach as you just described with clothes, where you just put it in a box, and then if at 6 months you don't need it, then it can just go away?
Yeah, especially with toys. The kids, they forget so fast what they own.
Yes.
And I understand privacy, the child space and privacy and everything, but there are 2 things I want to share. So I would take away toys and I would just put them in the basement. And usually one of the boys would ask once or twice, and like, oh, it's, I cleaned it up, and they would forget about it. And a half a year later, I would switch the toys and like, oh, my toys, I love them. And like I bought a bunch of new ones. So this is something, one thing I love to do. And another one, what I would do sometimes when I'm really in the mood, and the rooms, I'm talking about children's rooms, obviously, they looked awful. And I invested time not only to clutter clear them, but to make them really beautiful. And so sometimes I would get asked, oh, you're cleaning up after your kids, they need to learn it by themselves. They are, So, but when they would come home, they're like, Mom, thank you so much for doing this. Because at some point they get overwhelmed with their own stuff, just like adults do too. So we can help them out by doing it. And this is something I enjoy doing even today. They're grown, but somehow they're still, have another understanding of clutter, clear space than I do. But it's, clutter should never be the source of stress, pressure, and argument in your life. It's not worth it.
Got it. Yeah, that's super helpful to hear. Speaking of kids' rooms, is there any special considerations that you have with children's rooms as it pertains to feng shui?
Yeah, I mean, children's rooms are really like a chameleon. We have a whole home to sleep, work, eat, play, whatever. And the kids do almost everything in one room. And there are many different energies. You have yin and yang energies constantly mixing up together. So you have the sleeping area, then you have maybe the area where they study and the area where they play. So create oasis for them. Try to put the bed far away from the entrance door or from the window. Put the study area close to the window because it's natural light. Create cozy structure, cozy areas where the child can wind down, read, or play. So think in oasis when you arrange a children's room. Don't allow the room to be one mess of all energies, because then the child, it depends, of course, the age, but very often children cannot find go into sleep. It's because there is too much yang energy. So you need to balance the yin energy. And yin energy is always the passive winding down energy. So take a look and see, like we talked about the laundry in the bedroom. That's the same with, too much going on in the children's room.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I think especially because our kids at least can get super overwhelmed with stuff in their room. And we've noticed that there's this funny meme that we came across where it's like first time parent and it shows all these toys that they buy, and then third time parent or second time parent, and it's like a wooden stick in a bowl and 3 rocks. And it's so true. It's that's all they need. They don't need all this stuff. They don't. They're actually more creative when they have random inanimate objects to play with and make stuff out of than just buying them toys. And it's not to say it's bad to buy toys. We still buy, our youngest toys sometimes too, but point still stands is they don't need as much stuff and they get overwhelmed if there is too many toys. We've noticed that too, is that we've rotated out toys just like you said. And when we do that, our kids get really excited, but then they also don't feel overwhelmed in the playroom and they can actually play by themselves better, versus if there's too many choices for them, they get overwhelmed and then they either ask to watch TV or they come up to us and ask us to come play with them, which is fine. We want to play with our kids, but there's sometimes hey, I need to get some stuff done, go play. If there's less choices available, they'll naturally go play by themselves. Yeah. So a couple more just general feng shui home layout questions. One is, when we're talking about qi flow through a space, is there any strict do not, and I know it's not strict, it's not a rule, it's more of a principle, but is there any home layout things that you consider when it comes to furniture that you are not a big fan of that you oftentimes see?
So, for example, just very specific, is dining table made out of glass. Very specific. Why? Because glass is for our subconscious, glass does not give us security. We don't feel safe. And it can break very, very fast. And then this feeling of putting down a glass and it's cling and cling. And
is that the same with a living room table though too? If it's
no, living room is fine. It's the dining table and the office.
Oh, okay.
Those two. So, and it's, the dining table holds your food, holds your abundance, and it can break in a second. And this is, again, feng shui is so connected to our subconscious minds. So it's the subconscious, oh, my food could be gone. So consciously we know it's good, there is enough food, but still unconsciously we are still struggling. So I would never recommend a glass table as a dining table.
Anything else?
Oh, beams. I'm very often asked with, beams. So what do I do? Of course, the rule is cover them up, but then
Really? Like, are you talking about wooden beams on the ceiling?
On the ceiling,
really?
yeah.
Because that's like our house has those.
I know,
and we like the way that they look, like the open.
Thank you for sharing this.
Yeah.
That's the thing, because we are not practicing traditional feng shui because we are not able to practice this, but it doesn't mean that we cannot practice feng shui only because we're not going to follow the strict rules. Again, we are going to Pareto, right? So, and people design houses with the wooden beams not to be covered because their style.
I feel like it also for us brings in a natural element in the home amongst the drywall box houses that we have nowadays.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It brings a nature element back in.
Absolutely. So where I say, I'm like, just try not to have a wooden beam go through your bed. So cutting your bed, because why? The energy hits the beam, and it's like, just imagine, I will say, when you want to picture how chi flows, imagine chi being water and it flows into the room, it would hit the beam. What happens with the water? It shoots down. So it's attacking you again when you're sleeping. So don't let your bed be under a beam. But you can also cover just the beam under above your bed, and the stuff shouldn't be under the beam. So other than that, I'm like, well, enjoy your beams.
Okay, got it. Anything else, like in general, in terms of like, for example, in a living room, right? If you have, I don't know, a chair in the way where it's like blocking certain flow of the layout of the home. I guess it's going to be dependent on the home, right?
It is. But I want just to point one thing out. What I very often see with my clients, not that often anymore, but we would have a beautiful view and the TV. And they would arrange all the sitting things around the TV
rather
and
than the
turn
view.
their back to the view. And then looking at the wall and the TV, it again, what you see is what you get. It closes them down. And then I often propose like, okay, you can also see the TV from the side, but let's just turn the furniture around so that it opens up the view. So you see further, you see opportunities coming. And usually after that, they're like, oh, it's like somebody took shades from my eyes. Suddenly I see life even more. So yeah.
Got it. Let's talk about the home office space, and then we can just move into business spaces as well, like feng shui for business.
Oh, I love this topic. Feng shui in business context is very strategic. Sometimes I'm asked like, oh, feng shui, is it esoteric? Like, who's practicing it? It's like the most not powerful, but the biggest companies in the world are practicing feng shui, but they're not openly talking about it. I mean, if you go on Google, you will find everything. But why is it being practiced by Asian business people? Because it works, not because they believe in something, because it works.
Yeah.
So with the office at home, when we talked about the bedroom, very often, I know in Europe, when you have a home office, you usually don't have an extra room for the home office. So it's usually in the bedroom somewhere because it's the most quiet place. But again, we have the yin and yang energies coming together.
I can also see where, again, subconsciously, what that's doing when you're waking up is you automatically start thinking of work. And when you go to sleep, you automatically start thinking of work. And then if you add laundry in the room, it's like all the things I have to do and work, like all the time, 24/7.
Absolutely. So if you cannot move it out, just put a screen in front of it. So it's,
like a space divider screen.
A space divider or a curtain or something. So that's out of your sight. I think this is just something I wanted to share here because it happens often. And then when you place your desk, and no matter if you're home office or if you're in a corporate world, try not to turn the back to the door.
Got it.
Again, subconscious mind. We are not seeing what's coming from behind, and then we don't have all the focus for the things we're doing. So we have 100%, I say 100% focus and energy, and if 50% are tied to to the door being in your back because, you're just cautious, you only have 50% to grab your opportunities, to see opportunities, to be present when it's important. And you don't want to work on 50% energy. So turn around, even if the door is on the side, it doesn't matter. Just don't have it in your back.
Got
so this is like the most important rule. And the second one is not to have a desk out of glass. Because again, and I've seen it, it was before I started studying Feng Shui. Oh, I have so many stories to share. So before I started studying Feng Shui, I was working for a company and they were doing Google ads, and they found back then a way to generate leads. And we're talking like 25 years ago, generate leads in a very unique way. And the business just exploded. And the whole office had desks out of glass, the whole office. The CEOs again, also. And I remember it was Easter break and I came after Easter to work. I was studying and I was working as a student there. And it was so quiet. And I said, what happened? And they said, our business broke down within 24 hours. There was something with the setup, with the leads. I don't know. It was somebody was suing them and everything broke together. Like, in 24 hours, they lost their business.
Shattered like glass. Interesting.
Yeah.
And they all had glass desks in
Everyone.
That is wild.
Everyone in the company.
That is wild. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So there's something about like subconsciously, it just either creates in you the orientation towards not being able to hold something, like to have stability, but it also orients the direction of your business towards instability in some ways.
Yes.
Wow.
And when you build a house, you're putting it on solid grounds. You would never build, a ground that, made out of glass. You're building it out of stone and concrete and whatever. So, and your office and your desk they're holding your business. So as your business grows, you need to have a solid wall on the ground holding your business so it can grow, become a skyscraper. Otherwise, it's just going to keep falling. So, yeah, I mean, it's so simple. And then again, sometimes I'm really amazed how people are defending their glass desks. No, I love it. It's design. I'm like, okay, now you know the consequence. And then
I automatically think of kids and like accidentally breaking it, so I will not ever have one, ever. That's where my mind first goes, but it makes a lot of sense what you're saying too. I guess another question for those who are living in apartments, is there any special considerations for Feng Shui and just the overall energetic dynamics of the space? Because when I think of apartments or townhomes in cities, right? I think of, first off, obviously the bombardment of non-native EMFs that are like constantly stressing you out. And we could get into that a little bit too. I don't know if that's appropriate to discuss, but also the energetics of having a bunch of different families and people just outside your walls at all times and not having as much spaciousness. So is there anything specific within the context of Feng Shui that you do to harmonize that?
Oh, I love this question because, again, it brings a part of teaching to it. So, of course, you cannot do anything about your neighbors, but you can always, in Feng Shui, I don't like to talk about positive and negative energies, but left turning and right turning energies. So right turning are giving energy, life enhancing, and then you have left turning, which is draining you. So by bringing Feng Shui into your space, you're creating right-turning field of energy in your space. So, and when you don't need to protect yourself, because the right-turning energy is going to create a field which is automatically, you're mirroring back left-turning or harming energy from your neighbors. So instead of putting the fake focus on, oh, how can I block the energy of my neighbor, I'm focusing on how can I create even more right-turning energy in my home so that even, I create so much energy that my neighbor also gets some life-turning energy and, it harmonizes maybe his life or her life or whatever. So it's more the focus of sharing because there is so much energy we don't need to be stingy around it.
Right.
We can really, give and share, and you see yourself as a source of right turning energy.
Yeah. When you say right turning and left turning, what does that come from? Is that like vortex dynamics, or is that a feng shui
It is
principle?
also vortex dynamic. Yes,
Okay.
it is also, and it's just energy moving up and moving down. And if you would,
Like Victor Schauberger vortex dynamics, or is it okay?
I couldn't say.
Okay.
I couldn't say. But when I use my pendulum, and when I test, is this water good for me? And if it goes right, I know.
Okay.
And if it goes left, it's a no. It's like
Got
it's
it.
not. And even when you, this is how I learned it. And this is where we go into the earth energy as well. So on the surface of the surface of the earth is like a pole. It's plus energy above and minus below. And as long as somebody or living being is alive, it's right turning.
Mm-hmm.
And the moment it dies, it goes below the energy, and the energy becomes left turning.
Got it.
Because it's zero line and it's going into the minus. And this is how I relate to measuring energy. And I try to keep measuring energy as simple and as open as possible, instead of using a scale, because again, scale and numbers are limiting you, and energy cannot be limited.
Yeah. It's more of a, dare I say, like an artistic, intuitive approach.
Yes,
Than it is a structural, rigid approach.
absolutely.
Right? Yeah. So with that, like for you, when you step into a space as someone who is in tune with energy now, can you literally like feel the energy of the home when you walk in?
Yes.
Like, I know a lot of people walk in a space and be like, this space feels beautiful. It feels very spacious, but have you refined your capacity to do that to the point that you can immediately know just dynamics about the home that need to change, or like the personalities of the people that live in it just by stepping into it?
Yes, of course, I need a few minutes.
Yeah.
but yes, because, so I'm not doing it constantly, obviously, but when I'm on duty, right? When I'm called to do the work.
When you're in that mindset.
I go really, I open all my senses, I open it, and I would get pictures, and it depends. You have one energy, the past of the home, the past energies of the earth. They could speak and tell me what happened in the past, that the energy of the space is as it is. And then you have the feng shui layout. So the feng shui layout, the feng shui is giving you different informations than the energy of the earth. And then when you put them together, then you get the whole picture.
Let's talk about that a little bit as it pertains to the energetic dynamics from like a spiritual context. So the question is, this is kind of a two-part question, and it's going to relate to the same thing. So if that house was built on land in which a lot of tragedy occurred, are there energetic considerations that you have there? And then the other part of that, if that house is an older home and you don't know, well, let's say even you don't know whether tragedy occurred on the land or not, but like, can you feel if there is like tragedy on that land?
Yes.
Yeah. You can just feel it in the space.
Yes.
And then the same thing with the home too.
Yes.
So is there considerations that you have for a home that is much older versus a new build?
No, because the energy holder is the earth and not the home.
Got it.
So, I've been in the most beautiful homes around the world, and people would look at me and say, well, everybody say we're crazy, but something's wrong here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's my gift to see what happened in the past. I would see what's causing this, because you go with your, you see, you're like, oh, this looks so beautiful. Oh, it makes me feel beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me feel good because it looks beautiful.
Yeah.
But when you live there and the energy of the home, the space starts fully influencing us within 9 moon cycles. And between 9 and 12 months, the space takes over because the space is bigger than we are.
Got it.
And the reason why sometimes you would just see the beautiful meadow, And then you're like, oh, that's a perfect place to build a house. You build a house, and within 12 months, you're like, oh my God, what is going on here?
Mhm.
It's because the meadow, there is sun, there is water, energy is moving. And when you build walls, you know, the energy gets stuck within those walls.
Got it.
And this is when you start feeling something's wrong here.
Okay. So it doesn't even necessarily have to be a tragedy occurred there. It's just that you're building out of the right context,
Oh yeah, I mean,
the wrong context.
I always say, you know, people leave traces. We celebrate. We had wars. We have cemeteries, and I mean, there is a piece of my past. My father is from Croatia, and he's from. I have never talked about this openly, but he's from Vukovar, and this is the first town where the Balkan War started in the 90s.
Wow.
So everything what happened there, we lived there for 3 years, and I remember there was a park, and we would have concerts there. And I never knew what it was meant. So it was a memorial park, I think for the Second World War or something. So bad things have happened there. A few months ago, I was there with my children. I visited my parents, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to show you where I was, you know, because the TV was there and we had this concert, and I'm going to show you. And we drove, and Alec, the park wasn't there anymore, and there were houses built on this land. So I knew it was a memorial park from the Second World War because something bad has happened there. And now I don't know why, I have no idea why this happened, but the park is gone and there are houses built on the same land.
Mm-hmm.
So there we have a piece of history where it's obvious that these houses are standing on, I don't know what happened there, but are standing on energy which is not really supportive.
Yeah, not supportive for living.
Yeah.
So it's interesting though, because you talk about how like a meadow with beautiful sunlight and river, like that could also be a home that causes stagnation because it's disrupting the natural space. But then
No, I don't.
Oh, was I incorrect?
I'm sorry. I guess I did not mention something super important because maybe 200 years ago, on the same meadow, there was a little village, and the village had a cemetery, of course.
Ah, okay.
Right.
That makes
but
more
it
sense
was
now.
like 100, 200, even 300, 5,000. I mean, humanity is old. It's just, and then people moved on. The cemetery, you know, is still there, but now you can see it. And today we have the meadow, and we're like, oh, this is such a beautiful piece of land.
Now
but if you would
saying.
cut it and look at the layers, you would see, oh, this happened this, and this happened there, and this happened there. So,
well, I'll give an example of that. That makes a lot more sense now. Now it's not that like it's nature is inviting, and of course, this is a whole separate conversation, but building in harmony with nature, like we're supposed to be living in nature. We're literally a part of nature, right? And we've just believed we're disconnected, which has led to so much absurdity. Whole separate conversation. But it's the context, if I'm hearing you correctly, is like what I'm talking about is the space can appear with the eyes to look like a good spot to build, but if you don't understand the energetic dynamics of what has occurred and imprinted upon that land and the waters of that land and the land itself, then it may look like it's the right context, but it's the improper context, and there's going to be energetic distortions there. So, quick little story. My wife and I moved, I was still in the military at the time, and we moved to this military base, and typically, when we were living at other military bases, we were not living on the military base. We were living off the military installation because I didn't want to be living in the same area that I worked, especially because I didn't really like being in the Army anyway. But this time, we decided to live on the military base because off of it, the area was quite dangerous. It was just known to be a dangerous area, a lot of like gang activity and things like this. So we wanted to live on the military base. And the house itself was built in the early 1900s, and it had lead paint that was quote unquote encapsulated, which supposedly is supposed to limit the harm of the lead paint that it was painted with before. So there was a lot of health implications there. Long story short, Kylie's symptoms that she had already resolved 3 years prior came back for the first time. And we, learned that it was the toxic building materials. But what we also learned, and we actually had an energetic clearing done on the house, is it sort of occurred to us that, okay, we know the history of this military base, that it used to be a reservation for Native Americans. But then I learned a little bit about the history of that, and it was a place where they basically took all the Native Americans and forced them onto there by starving them of their food supply, by killing off all the bison. So it was effectively a prisoner of war camp for Native Americans.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I learned that, and I was sort of going through a spiritual awakening just prior to that, so I was really into my spiritual awakening, I'm like, there is something definitely wrong about living on this land. And that's why, I don't know if it's a function of being in the army and like I felt the darkness of the military itself, or it's that this land also has a lot of unhealed, unacknowledged darkness that is sitting present on it because it was a prisoner of war camp for Native Americans. I won't say it would be like building a house in Auschwitz, but that's like kind of what it felt like, is that we're living in a house with toxic building materials that happens to be in a place akin to Auschwitz, and that's, it felt so wrong once I learned that. And my wife and I talk about that a lot. It's like, there has to be some major implications for our health just by living here, especially if you're someone who is more intuitively inclined, because then you're more sensitive to things like that.
Yeah. And, being sensitive or not to that, if you're living in such a contagious environment, it will get to you sooner or later. Because it's, we have an energetic body, we are functioning through our subconscious, and it doesn't feel right. Something feels off. And, it's very often I say, for me, is the land is giving us so much. The nature is giving us so much. And then when I see new construction coming on, I know in Belgrade, there many things are being built there, and it just would go on the site and then dig the hole. And it's like, you're going for operation and nobody's preparing you. They're like, oh, we're going to, we're cutting off your arm, you're doing this. And it's so simple. Of course, you can get somebody to bless the land before you start and to tune into it. This is what humanity has done for ages. When we had builders building the houses, when we were building, not according to nature, but with respectful way. But now, today, it's just, even if you don't want to have somebody do it, you can just sit and just say a little, I don't know if you call it prayer, to give thanks that you have this land, and to bless every construction worker is going to come and to ask for support. And, you can just 5 minutes, light a candle, just give some respect to the piece of land where your future house is going to stand. I feel that's in the society, which is really fast moving, we forget about it. We think everything is only because I signed the contract with the buyer or the seller, and the notary has put his stamps on it. It's mine and I'm ruling over the land. I don't think so.
No, we're in a relationship with the land. And likewise, we're in a relationship with our space itself too. And are you of the mindset that, let's say, going back to that situation of building on Native American prisoner land, essentially, that can be harmonized by praying and like giving thanks to it and even acknowledging what occurred there? Could that space be harmonized, or would you recommend like, nah, you just need to not live there?
Well, it depends indeed. As I said, there are 20 years of my work. I only twice had to say to tell the family that they would need to move, because when I do a healing for a land, which I have learned from Taoist masters and also from the Mamos from Colombia, the Earth Keepers, it's not only blessing, but it's also like when you do acupuncture, you would there is a blockage, which is an emotional. It's there. What the land stores are the emotions, and it's emotional stress fields, trauma, pain, curses. Just what humans do, and they're anchored in the earth. So when you put only prayers into it, you might not be able to pull the anchor out. So you do some work, but it keeps coming back.
Yeah.
And then there are people like myself who can really go to the, to the anchor and really release the anchor. So there does stay a scar. You can never put the 100% the same energy. The scar stays there, but it's a scar.
It's written into the ether,
yes,
the akasha.
that's okay, and that's fine. But you're releasing the anchor and you're really harmonizing all the energy and the trauma and everything, which is connected to this emotional stress field. So very often it's not about just, oh, we need to leave this alone. This is what happened. And because honestly, Alec, I mean, we have been around the globe a few times through the thousands and thousands of years. I don't believe that there is a spot in this earth where we could move and everything is, except the virgin jungle.
Yeah.
But, so it's about giving the earth the possibility to heal as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. It relates to individual healing as well. Like you can't just love and light your way and think positive thoughts. You have to deal with some of the emotional things that happen to you and dissolve the conditioned beliefs surrounding them and feel the feelings associated with them. You can't pretend they're not there and just think positively. So this sounds like it's the same thing. It's needing to uproot and acknowledge the original thing that occurred and then pray over the land at the same time.
Yes. And then also keep the energy. So my clients are asking, is it always to be like this? It will, as long as the humans who live there stay positive, because the energy of the earth was supportive and loving and positive until humans came and did something that it turned around. So we're putting it back into its natural state, and then it depends from the people how the energy is going to be.
You mentioned earlier talking with your space, and I think maybe this would be an appropriate time to talk about that a little bit, given that, the energetic dynamics of the space. So it's interesting because it's like, I think that even those of us who are spiritually inclined don't look at all of creation being foundationally an aspect of God, which would mean that consciousness permeates all things, which means that things that seem like quote unquote inanimate objects or a home are not conscious, but they are literally conscious, just in a different way. So what does it look like to cultivate a relationship and actually like talk to your space?
So for me, as I said, the space is an extension of myself. So for example, I don't do it maybe every morning, but I say good morning to my space. And I say goodbye when I leave my space and it's going to be empty. And I was like, okay, see you in a few hours. So just like you would say goodbye to a friend, you would just shut the door. Or when we are going for holiday or traveling, and then I tell my space, okay, you need to take care of yourself. We will be back in 4 weeks. So don't worry, like we will be back. Take care of yourself. And you know what's interesting since I started doing this? I don't know, when maybe you had the experience when you were not at home for for a couple of weeks, when you enter, it smells, the air is like, it smells somehow different. So you need to open the windows, open the doors to let fresh air in. But since I started doing it, the air smells fresh, even if I open the door after 4 weeks of traveling.
Interesting.
And then I feel like this joy, like, oh, she's back. So it's just the energy you pour into the space, it's going to pour it back. And I know for my business space, when I would start, back then I was doing my certifications in person and a new group would be coming. And then I would talk to my space, like, listen, we're starting a new certification. These amazing people are coming to learn from us. So I ask you to hold the space, of clarity so that everything can drop in what they need, to hold the space of healing. So I would, say these are my prayers, and to set the energetic space for my students. But then if you're in the corporate world and you're having a very important meeting, go into the conference room 5 minutes early, breathe a few times and connect to the space and ask the space to provide clarity. And it's not about, I want the space to be on my side against somebody. It's just, let's you just imagine creating the space of clarity for everybody involved for the highest good.
For the highest good for everyone.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Most healthcare today operates on an outdated mechanistic model, treating the body like a battlefield rather than a self-healing system. You wait months for an appointment only to receive a rush diagnosis that labels you rather than truly understanding your unique health. Even in holistic health, many practitioners rely on endless lab tests and supplement protocols, addressing symptoms instead of the root cause. And the result? Another prescription or supplement regimen that merely suppresses or masks symptoms rather than facilitating true healing, whether the imbalance was physical, emotional, energetic, or a mix of all three. And that's why Dr. Tom Cowan co-founded the New Biology Clinic, to offer something radically different. As one of the most respected natural health doctors in the world, Dr. Cowan has spent decades challenging conventional medicine and advancing a deeper understanding of human biology, water, and natural health. His work isn't just about rejecting the mainstream, it's about offering a more truthful, biologically coherent approach for healing. The New Biology Clinic recognizes that health isn't about fighting disease, it's about restoring balance. You're not a diagnosis, you're an individual with a unique story, and healing should honor that. With virtual consultations available worldwide, the clinic offers a flat-rate monthly membership that gives you direct access to practitioners who take the time to actually listen. Members also get exclusive health live streams, a resource library, and live sessions covering everything from biofield tuning and breathwork to movement and meditation, all designed to support whole body healing. And if you're not ready for a membership, you can book a one-time appointment, sign up for an enrichment-only membership for the healing modalities alone, or schedule a free connection session with one of the care team members to see how the New Biology Clinic can help in your specific situation. This isn't about keeping you dependent on doctors. It's about making you sovereign over your health. Head to newbiologyclinic.com and use code THEWAYFORWARD, and that's spelled The Way, F-O-R-W-A-R-D, for $50 off account activation, or just head to the show notes for more info. If you're a member of The Way Forward, email hello@thewayforward.com for $150 off. Your body already knows how to heal, and New Biology Clinic helps you remember.
So I want to revisit one of the things that I brought up earlier, which is borrowing inspiration from the land that you are on as it pertains to your space. So obviously in most homes in Western cultures, because that's all I can speak to now, that are built today, you're getting wood shipped from all over the place. It's filled with drywall, VOCs, PFAs, like the dirty electricity running through your floors. We could get into all that, and I have on other episodes. And there's a whole separate category regarding the toxicity of the way our homes are built. But it's also something to be said about not using materials based on the land that you're on. That's also a separate conversation. But from a feng shui perspective, do you think it's important to borrow inspiration in terms of the style from the area that you're on? For example, if you live in Western Kansas, which is landlocked and there's no oceans nearby, is it appropriate from a feng shui perspective to have like a coastal style home with like a bunch of palm trees and things like that inside the space? I think you see what I'm getting at, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, indeed, no, because there is a break in energy.
Mm-hmm.
There's this, and this is what we are trying. We try to balance energy, and then we bring this break. And then this is such an interesting question, because sometimes people would create a break in energy and then ask somebody to fix it. And in a way to fix it with, not to remodel it into how it should be, but no, I want to keep it, but can you still fix it? It's like, well,
can't have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah, so just being mindful of staying true to yourself, and then not breaking the energy, because I really believe that when you tune into your gut feeling, just tells you maybe you don't know the right way, but you definitely know that
something's
this
off.
might be the wrong way to go.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, here's a question related to that. What if you live in Western Kansas and you're envisioning your future self living in Hawaii. So you want your home to reflect living in Hawaii, but it's also creating the energetic break. What would you do with a client? Have you ever come across a client who's like that?
I mean, yes, I just consulted on 2 restaurants in Munich, and they are both called Maui.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are in Munich, in Bavaria.
Yeah.
And I consulted those 2 restaurants, and they are creating Hawaiian feeling.
Uh-huh.
So I absolutely know. And, but it is, so to the first question you had, yes, I can envision myself living in, so I don't have to have a Hawaiian lifestyle, but I can have, I remember, again, sorry, I wanted to go fly to Hawaii. And a friend of mine, she was there and she sent me a postcard. And I took the postcard and it was on my desk. It was like my vision board.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't need to redecorate my whole home, because then I think this is what I want to answer, because then we are putting force on energy to do something for us.
Got it.
And it's not about you're like, I want this so much. And then you create pressure, and pressure is like clutter in your system. And then manifestation is not working at all. So it's this balance of, I'm looking forward to move to Hawaii. I think that's such a great idea. And you bring this joy and there is no pressure around it. And then you maybe have this Hawaiian hair. So for women, of course, or you have a postcard, or you have a picture or something, which is reminding you, you have glasses, which they typically use in Hawaii. I don't know. Just think of
like
a
little
detail.
minor details like that. Yeah.
Think of a detail. Sense. Yeah. So,
because it's really interesting on the forcing energy thing. I often think that when, for example, I come across a house, there is some types of palm trees that grow in Texas, especially as you go a little bit further south towards the coast. But anytime I'm in a part of Texas and I see like a palm tree growing outside someone's house that looks so out of place and I know is not native to there, nor does it look appropriate, that's how it feels. It feels forced. It feels like they're trying to force a style to exist in the improper context. And it doesn't ever look good. Like it doesn't look good. It looks totally out of place.
Yeah. Really, the forcing is something that also with Feng Shui, when you try to activate something, it's like, I want to activate, I want it so much. And then again, it, circles back to you. You get stuck. Yeah.
Okay. So I want to go a little bit deeper into human health, and I want to hear your thoughts on this, because I know you just came from a place in Mexico that had dome structures. So I'd already brought this up to you when we were in Belgrade, and you gave an answer that like surprised me a little bit with respect to Feng Shui, and I'll give some context here. So I've thought that right-angled boxy rooms might not be the best for human health. And then I have a friend who creates dome structures, both for, venues for events, but also for homes, dome structures. And I don't know why I had figured that would be more appropriate for human health. But if I remember correctly, you were saying the right angles aren't actually that bad. It's just about bringing harmony to the space that is within the right angles. So I would just love to hear your thoughts, wherever you want to go, on that versus the other end of the spectrum, like dome style architecture, or even more earth-based, nature-based designs where there's more flow, less right angles in the spaces. You see a lot of these more Adobe style homes that are using clay that are popping up that are using this more like almost like water, earth elements in the space in terms of how the structure are designed. So I would just love to hear your thoughts on that from the perspective of Feng Shui.
Yeah. So let me first say that there is no right and wrong. It's always, what do you need for this moment? So, when I studied economics at the University of Applied Sciences, and when I couldn't find a job there, I was like, why did I go to university? That's what is the detour I didn't need. But now I see how my brain works, and it tries to, figure out and understand different perspectives. So with that being said, for me, having domes and maybe when in Feng Shui, very often you say you need a round table to sit at a round table. And, but a round table is not going to get you anywhere because you're circling, right? So, and then there is this other story, I believe I told you, where we went into dinner in the dark. And this is when they pointed out to be careful with drinking wine because you get drunk faster. I mean, it's the same amount of alcohol. And they said your eye it needs the structure, the lines to keep a balance and to harmonize the alcohol. It keeps you, what is the word? Like nothing.
More sober.
More sober. Thank you. So, and as I just spent 4 nights in this dome, in this circle, and it felt really, really great. But I felt a little bit, there was so much space around which was not used, of course. Mm-hmm. And it's not about using it. It's just about I need close to a space to be more close to me. But this is something very personal. And again, for me, rectangular spaces are lines, like we have them in our lives, and then creating the harmony within those lines is just like the bumpers help you, because when you get too much into the visionary, too much into the circling, you need to drop down again from heaven to earth to make things come true. So again, it's what I shared in the beginning. It depends.
Okay. Maybe
you need, for a certain amount of time, you need this organic spaces, very earthy, like in the womb, like really, really close to you. And then you need the sharp angles, the masculine, powerful energy to bring it out.
Got it. So you could even have a space where it has a mix of both. Like maybe you have a dome structure on your property that you spend some time in meditating, praying, and things like this.
As a meditating room, as a creative room, but again, it's a room, it's not your home. And then, try to put a closet in a dome room and try
I was just thinking that as you were talking about all the empty space around you, like with a dome house, I don't know, and maybe it's the conditioning of how we've laid out our homes. For example, like that shelf behind you, that's in the corner because it is a corner. It just makes sense to put it there. The desk that Reese is sitting at is in a corner because it makes sense to put that in the corner. It's like with a dome, where do things go? And again, it could be just conditioning that I've received, because there is something to be said about stepping into a dome space, and the way that sound carries in those spaces is so beautiful. Whereas with right angles, sound tends to get trapped in corners like this. Whereas with domes, they flow throughout the space. So I could see where, from a healing context, that can be really good for our systems. But I could also see what you're saying, where in order to have direction in life, you need the right angles in the structure, because if not, you'll get lost in the endless flow of the energetics within that space. Is that kind of accurate?
Yes, it is. And then, because you said with the sound, and yes, our retreat was really in a dome space, and the sound was really, it was amazing. So I can relate to that. And then, rectangular spaces, they do need more often a clearing, because the energy gets stuck in the corners.
Oh, so you do need to clear more in rectangular spaces.
Yeah, because it's when you have a cup, I know my Feng Shui master, he explained it. When you have a cup, which we don't usually have those cups, they're all round, somehow rounded at the bottom. But if you would have a really like rectangular cup, the corners, the tea or the coffee would get stuck there. You would have difficulties cleaning the corners. So that's the reason why cups are always rounded at the bottom. And this is really a very simple way to explain how energy gets stuck in corners.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So how often are you clearing your own spaces then? So,
I mean, when I wake up in the morning, I do like a 5-minute ritual meditation where I go into, it's a very simple exercise. You focus on your aura, and then I would expand my aura and put my aura around my space. And then I would set cleansing energies. So it's just a few minutes because energy travels immediately
Mm-hmm.
through your thoughts. So you don't need to meditate for 20 minutes. It just needs to be a very clear and strong meditation. And then at least once a week, we go and smudge. It's also in our tradition. And even I or my husband started, and then we give it to the kids, and they, it's playful. It's not always this huge ritual of I need to cleanse and cleanse.
Are you smudging with sage?
It's not sage is too strong.
Really?
Yeah, for me, I do smudge with sage outside, but if you use it in space, you can smell it for days.
Oh, you mean
And
literally? It's like,
it's
I thought you meant it's like energetically
no,
too strong. Like
you can
it fully
smell it for
clears the
days.
space.
I
Yeah.
use this, what is it?
Frankincense?
Yeah, frankincense.
Okay.
Yeah, there are so many different, there are rose, frankincense, and there's so many different ones. And so I use those.
When you go into, let's say, a hotel, or you're traveling, you stay in an Airbnb, or you just enter into a new space, is there anything specific that you do to cleanse the energy there?
Yes, the first thing I ask for permission and protection to enter the space. And I do this with, so I was, for the first time in my life, I was in Mexico. So the moment the plane touched down, I asked the spirit of the country for protection and permission to enter. So it was not about the customs, but it was about the spiritual question. So this is the first thing I do, because when you visit somebody, you would ring the doorbell or you would knock and the door would be opened, and then you would introduce yourself and be invited to enter the space. So I do this on a spiritual level. I always ask for permission and protection. That's the first thing, to announce yourself. And then I try not to overcomplicate it. So I did it in the beginning when we would travel as a family. My husband would take the kids out and I would spend an hour. So I don't do this anymore. But again, my aura technique. I sit down, I close my eyes, and I, set the space. I introduce myself to the space. Like, we're here for 2 weeks. You're on vacation. And then I always say, I'm not on duty. So I'm not here to do feng shui or healing. So please respect that. And this is, again, setting the space up, letting the space know why you're here. And then I do my aura cleansing. And usually in hotels, I would bring my, all the cleansing things, but then they have this, for the fire protection. And I don't want to set off alarm in hotels. So I stopped smudging.
That's fair.
So, yeah.
That's fair. Is there another thing that you can do besides smudging that's like smudging? Or do you think that just doing your practice is sufficient?
Oh, you can go on any streaming platform and stream frequency music to cleanse your space.
Okay.
That's really something. You turn on your phone, you turn it up, and then you let it play for an hour or two. You can always clap through, or through your palms. It's like wiping the walls.
Mm-hmm.
You could do this as well. But I'm very practical.
Okay.
Yeah. One other thing, when I travel, I always unpack my stuff. I always make myself feel home, even if it's for 4 days. I would unpack my suitcases, and then sometimes I would rearrange the things slightly. And very often I would take away pictures or paintings from the walls, which are somehow having a weird energy for me. I would just put them in a closet and then put them back on.
So when I come back in the studio, this is all going to be completely rearranged?
Well, we'll see.
Just kidding.
But yeah, this is something I do, especially if I spend like 2 or 3 weeks somewhere.
Yeah.
I really need the place to be powerful, because very often I'm also working a little bit, and I want to keep my energy.
Yeah, you want them to make the space feel secure and feel like home. That makes a lot of sense. As I'm hearing this, you're talking about like communicating with the space, communicating with the land, communicating with your house before you leave, saying hello to the house when you get back. What it sounds like is that when you practice feng shui, it's just inviting you to be more intentional and more present in your life.
Yeah.
So I think when it comes to human interaction, there's a lot of people discussing like being present with your kids, being present with yourself, being present with your environment. That can be pretty vague. You're taking presence to a completely different level, where you're like consciously aware of everything around you is alive to some degree, and you're in relationship with everything around you. So because of that, it requires that you are present and conscious and paying homage to what you're around. It requires that you're giving reverence to what you're around. Does that sound right?
Yes, because Feng Shui is not something what I do. Feng Shui is who I am. And it's a philosophy of life. And it's not a tool, oh, you're moving furniture around. No, Feng Shui is expressing itself through environment, through furniture, but it is not furniture. It's a philosophy of life. And it's based in a Taoistic practice, which means it's limitless. I can sit here and I can focus on my home in Germany or whatever, and I can feel the energy of this home. I can sit here and feel if there is a tree outside, I can look at the tree and I feel the energy of the tree. And it's limitless. And this is when you start cultivating. And this is why I do share do's and don'ts according to Feng Shui, but I like to share the story around it. Well, the energy and the mindset around it. This is how you get so much more out of practicing Feng Shui than just putting a remedy here, a remedy there, going on, on Amazon, shopping your remedy list and then putting it in the corners and then you forget about it and it's like Feng Shui is not working. Well, yeah, you need to put intention to it. So you start with intention and then you go and find something which is really, really, for example, if you want to activate the wealth, something which is really in tune with you to put it up and activate your wealth.
Amazing. Is there anything else you want to share?
I think that's really the heart of everything. What I wanted to share to bring this heart and Feng Shui. I feel so sorry that it's very often seen as an esoteric practice. It's downplayed so much. And for me, Feng Shui has a personality. And somebody says, "Oh, I accidentally run across Feng Shui." No, Feng Shui is picking you to use it. It's not something we just use. It's making itself present. And when people start studying with me, they're like, "Oh, for 20 years, not all of them, but some of them, 20 years I was doing Feng Shui and finally I got this, I couldn't get away from it." Yeah, it doesn't let you go because it's on your way. You need to follow the path. So, yeah.
Amazing. So if people want to consult with you for their own homes or businesses, they're able to do that, right?
Yes.
So we'll include that in the show notes. But then also if people are wanting to literally study under you to learn Feng Shui to be able to share it with other people, they can do that as well, right?
Yes, they can. I have created a space activation certification, and there is a big part, the most important, most powerful Feng Shui part in it. And the second part, we are going into healing and cleansing the energy of the space. So what I did there is connecting the Feng Shui and the healing part and put it into one certification. Yeah.
Okay, you can find all that in the show notes if you're listening or watching. One final question, actually, hopefully, because this could go off on some tangents, is how much crossover does Feng Shui have with building biology or biogeometry, if you've ever heard of those two?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I have. So there are touch points when we talk about left and right turning energies. Right. So if you have a lot of toxic materials in your home, those energies are left turning. And there is nothing we can do in Feng Shui about that, but create consciousness around it. The biology lady with whom I'm working, she's always saying what we can measure, we don't use the pendulum to measure, we can measure it, with statistics or with something. So I feel when you start going towards Feng Shui and towards conscious living, which it is, then it automatically opens the door to, take it further. You
automatically like,
yes.
I probably shouldn't have this toxic material inside my house.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't have, as best as you can, obviously, because that's the trouble with the way a lot of buildings are made today is they are riddled with toxic materials. And of course, you can do steps to mitigate that. And of course, the body is self-healing, self-regenerating, and incredibly brilliant and will find homeostasis in that if you treat it well otherwise. Yeah. And I'm sure if you add Feng Shui principles to it, it's going to mitigate some of the effects of those things too.
Yeah, I always say do the best you can. Don't stress about it. I mean, If you live in a city, when you open your wireless on your phone, it's like 20 other,
Wi-Fi
networks, and you're like, oh, I turn mine off every night, and
it doesn't even matter. There's all these other ones around me. My neighbors has stronger connection to my phone than mine does, and I turn mine off. Right.
Yeah. So, but then again, I can decide where I'm going to put my focus on and my energy, but I still go back to, okay, I do whatever I can for myself to keep myself. Then you go into health, personal health, your body, your mind. I always see life as a huge puzzle. And if if you have ever puzzled, if you lose one piece, the picture will never be complete. So for me, it's just, keeping the pieces. And sometimes you have the one slot you want to fill and you're trying and trying and trying. And then you find the right one and it clicks. So this is how I see life.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me. This was epic. Thank you so much. It was so cool to be shown around Belgrade when I spent time with you, hung out with you. And it's so cool to have you now sitting in my podcast studio and having this beautiful conversation.
Thank you so much for having me.